So with that, I have one or two videos to show today. But what I would tell you is, if you want to know more about the watch, go to YouTube's and just type in iPhone Watch 4, and there are a host of videos available. There's one, Vicki, is she here?
She just went out.
Ah, okay. Quick meeting for her. There is one that says 50 new things with the iPhone Watch compared to the iPhone Watch 3, and it was too long to play, but the guy holds them up side by side, and you can see the speed and everything else. So that is a really good one. But again, go to iTunes and or YouTube and just type in Apple Watch 4, and you'll see all kinds of videos. And we're going to look at one of those right now. And it's this one. This is the one I particularly like. This guy is pretty good.
At least, they were often just a little too slow or finicky to really be able to count on. Well, that's not true anymore. Just about everything in the new Apple Watch Series 4, from these bigger screens to the improved chipset to the polished software, make this Apple Watch a huge step forward from earlier models. I still don't think everyone needs one, but the Apple Watch Series 4 is the strongest argument yet for actually wearing a smartwatch. Let's take a closer look. We can't talk about the Series 4 without talking about the Apple Watch's new design. Apple bumped these bodies up to 40 and 44 millimeters, up from the classic 38 and 42. Now, these watches are obviously going to take up a little more room on your wrist as a result, but I think the change is well worth it for these bigger screens. They stretch almost edge to edge, giving workouts and watch ads just a lot more room to breathe. I've been testing the larger 44 millimeter model, and I love this screen, but even the smaller version is a big improvement. I mean, the screen on this year's small Apple Watch is bigger than the screen on last year's big Apple Watch. As a result, icons are easier to tap, and in general, the Series 4 is just much nicer to read, even at a glance. That's a good thing, too, since some of the watch faces you'll find here pack in a lot of information. I mean, just look at this thing. There are 8 complications on this face, but it's still pretty easy to figure out exactly what's going on. If that's a little too much information, there are some gorgeous new watch faces that really don't do much more than tell you the time. And since Apple flattened out the watch's design a bit to accommodate these bigger screens, they actually feel a little more comfortable when you're wearing them for long periods of time. You'll find a few more small changes here, like a louder speaker on the left side and a narrower digital crown that makes the watch haptically click when you're turning it. And overall, this feels like the Apple Watch I've wanted all along. The Series 4 is running new software too. Well, new-ish, I guess. WatchOS 5 technically went live earlier this month, but it adds a lot to the overall watch experience. You can now stream podcasts directly to the watch and listen through some Bluetooth headphones, which has been really helpful on the rare occasions I've ditched my phone and gone outside to try and work out. Notifications are now grouped by app too, so you don't need to scroll through so many of them at a time. And you can now raise the watch to your face to give Siri commands, which actually works really well. Tell me a joke.
What time is it when an elephant sits on your Apple Watch? Time to get a new Apple Watch.
The assistant never really had trouble figuring out what I was asking it to do. Even better, you can use Siri to fire up the shortcuts you've created in iOS 12. So if the watch can handle your command, like when I ask it to news me, it will. It's a neat touch that makes Siri feel more capable, but man, it still trips up pretty frequently when I'm dictating messages for it to send. And then there's walkie-talkie, which I've used almost daily since I got the watch. The name basically says it all. Once you've invited some people to chat with, you hold down a big yellow button and start talking. The person on the other end will hear what you're saying in near real time. The Apple Watch has always been about small, simple interactions to help you be a little more productive or connected, and walkie-talkie feels like a perfect fit here. Now, if only you could get walkie-talkie group chats going. Of course, none of these features would work as well as they do without the right amount of horsepower. That's where the Series 4's new S4 system in package comes in. This year, Apple went with a 64-bit dual-core processor, and to my utter surprise, the Series 4 runs more smoothly than just about any smartwatch I've tested this year. In earlier models, you'd occasionally run into lag when jumping into different apps or switching between different parts of the watch's interface. That's almost all gone now. Watch apps launch and resume almost instantaneously, and overall, the watch feels as fast as it needed to be this whole time. Hell, if you wanted to, you could even pretty easily multitask on this thing. I am definitely not suggesting that you spend your whole day responding to messages and triaging emails from your wrist, but you can, and mostly without missing a beat. Even if you did that, though, you wouldn't have to worry about battery life too much. Apple says both versions of the Series 4 are rated for about 18 hours of use, but this 44mm model has run for between 24 and 36 hours before needing a recharge. Obviously, that's going to change depending on what you actually use the watch for, but even after full days of pretty consistent tapping and prodding, I could still go to bed knowing that the Series 4 would wake me up the following morning. Considering the way Apple has been talking about the watch, it's pretty clear the company would much rather have you get out there and be active with the thing. Thankfully, the Series 4 is better at that stuff too. I've been taking the watch out for some runs, and the step counts were more or less in lockstep with what I saw from my trusty Fitbit Versa. The GPS still takes a little while to get a lock, especially when you're wandering around Manhattan, but I don't have any complaints there either. The big change to how the watch handles fitness, though, is how it now recognizes when you're moving and asks if you want to track your workout. So far, this has worked pretty well. Earlier this week, I destroyed myself on a rowing machine, and the watch kicked in to track my impending death after about 3 minutes. When walking around New York, though, things took a little longer. I would be out there for about 15 minutes before the watch popped up and asked if I wanted to track my stroll. Exercise recognition has been a thing for smartwatches for a little while now, and I'm glad Apple is finally embracing it. That said, hey, Apple, people lift weights too, you know? Some of the watch's more notable competitors, like Samsung's Galaxy Watch, can recognize and track these more complicated workouts without too much trouble. Don't get me wrong, the Series 4 is great at what it does, but the landscape is changing, and this is one area where Apple can really stand to catch up. Of course, Apple pulls away from the rest of the competition in one specific health-related area, proactive care. It's not enabled by default unless you're over 65, but you can set the Series 4 to detect when you stumble and fall. When that happens to me, I usually don't suffer more than a scraped knee or a bruised ego, but once you start getting on in years, even short falls can be surprisingly dangerous. Thankfully, I haven't been able to accidentally trigger this feature and watch my wearable call 911 for me, and hopefully you and the people you love will never need this. Even so, the feature is there, just waiting to help. As a heart monitor, though, the Series 4's best days are yet to come. You won't be able to use the Series 4 to take electrocardiogram or EKG readings until Apple activates the feature later this year. Same goes for the watch's ability to detect and flag irregular heart rhythms. To be clear, if you are concerned in any way about the way your heart works, you go to a real doctor and you talk to them about it. When these features do go live, though, they just might be able to give you a crucial early warning. In years past, it felt like the Apple Watch was just a tiny, occasionally frustrating intermediary for the iPhone that it was connected to. You could get stuff done, sure, but you were often just as well off whipping your phone out and doing things the old-fashioned way. Not anymore. The Apple Watch Series 4 now feels like a truly trusty companion, and one that's always looking out for your physical well-being, too. It doesn't do everything that I want it to, and always on screen and sleep tracking would have been really nice here. And there are also some things we're going to have to revisit in the future, like the watch's EKG feature. That said, this year's version of the Apple Watch is so polished and so competent that there's no question that this is the smartwatch to beat.
Okay. Yes.
How tough is the watch? I mean, you get the surface scratches or anything? Because active people are going to be banging it around.
Yeah. I've had, the first watch I had was a stainless steel. I personally didn't like it for two reasons. First of all, the stainless steel, and I had the silver, it would show hairline scratches. I mean, you couldn't see them from 2 foot away, but when you held it up, you could just see that there were little teeny scratches on it. You couldn't even feel that they were there on the stainless steel. The other thing is the stainless steel was significantly heavier than the aluminum. So on watch 2, 3, and 4, I got the aluminum. I got the dark one, like the almost black. And I think on last year's I had nothing on it. The one before I had one little tiny nick on the side where I could see that I must have hit something on it. And I hit it plenty of times. I had nothing on the glass at all. I might have had a small scratch that I couldn't even see unless I was really looking for it, but no cracks or anything like that. Having said that, if you do break your screen, it's pretty costly to get that repaired, so I always get the Apple Care. I just do. Now, when you get the stainless steel, you do get a sapphire crystal, which is much harder. But I find that the glass that they're using on the regular aluminum model is very durable. And like I say, I banged it a couple times and I thought, oh my God, and I looked at it and nothing. So I hope that helps you. Yes?
Can you FaceTime on the Wi-Fi only version? If you have your phone with you? In other words, can you FaceTime wristwise?
I do not believe you can. I've never tried that, and I've never seen any of that on a video that I reviewed.
Okay.
There's a few things you can't do. I don't think you can do that. I'm almost positive you cannot, because I would have seen it on a video.
There's no camera.
I've looked at 15 or 20 videos. The other thing that you can't do is you cannot do mirroring. You can't do like mirroring to your TV, or I can't do mirroring on the system here. So,
Okay.
somebody else? Okay. So, as I mentioned, a couple things that I really notice a difference in on this watch is the size, and the size is not noticeable like the guy said on the video. It's not noticeable that it's bigger than last year's, but since the screen goes edge to edge, it's significantly bigger in terms of viewing it and reading it and seeing it, and I really like that quite a bit. And the processor is, as he indicated, much faster, and I noticed that difference daily. Yes, Bill?
How close do you have to be to your iPhone?
You don't have to be close at all. I mean, I can leave my phone could be in the car, and the watch will be working fine, and I can make and receive calls, do text messaging, and so on.
But you have the cell version, right?
I have the cell version, yes, I do have the cell version.
You might want to.
Now, and there's two versions. There's a cellular version, and then there's a version that's non-cellular, and the non-cellular just works on Bluetooth with your phone, and so you're within 30 foot or 40 foot away. It's Bluetooth 5, so I think Bluetooth 5 gives a little bit further distance, but if you don't get the cellular version, you are still tied to the phone. If you have the cellular version, it costs, most carriers are charging $10 a month for that, and to me it's worth it. It used to be, if I forgot my phone, I was like, oh my God, I gotta go back and get my phone, and now if I forget my phone, which is rare, but if I forget my phone, and I'm running up to Publix, they're going to be gone for 30 minutes, I just say, okay, who cares, because if somebody calls me, it'll come right through to my watch. And the speakers are significantly better, and the microphone's significantly better when somebody calls me on the watch, and I'm sitting there talking to them. They don't even know I'm on the watch. So that is also a significant improvement when they talk about, well, that there's two speakers on the side and they're twice as loud as they used to be, and the microphones on the other side now, to keep away ambient noise, that there's some real truth to that. It really works well. It is sort of, the only thing that's sort of bad about it is it's, if you don't have your Bluetooth headset in and paired to your watch, then it is a walkie-talkie, and you're just sitting there and somebody can hear your conversation. The other thing is if you're out and it's windy, that ambient noise can still disturb the call. But most of the time when I use the watch for calls, it's usually when I'm at home, and my phone's in the living room and I'm in my office, and somebody calls me and I just hit it and just start talking to them. I still would rather take the call on the phone, so I'll usually then go out and get my phone and just hit the button and it transfers over. Yes?
Can you show how to swing over from the watch to the phone if I pick up the phone and want to switch over?
Yes, I can sure do that if George will give me a call, and if I get this up here. Hold on a minute. George, I think you got me on speed dial, don't you?
No,
Okay.
only my loved one.
Yeah.
253-8700.
Yeah. So give me a call. Okay, somebody calls me. This is what happens on the watch. See that? And so I just hit it. Hey George, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Okay, now what happens is if you can see my phone, you'll see at the top there, right there is what happens on the phone. And so all I do is touch on that and it now transfers to the phone. Okay?
Thank you.
Now, I have no idea how to transfer it back to the watch. Thanks, George. Okay. But that works really well. And it's sort of hidden, so I'm glad you brought that up. It's right up there. It sort of covers up the time. Okay? Yes?
Could you wear your watch at night and then charge it during the day? Because the main objective to getting one for John would be his little pulse rate at night.
Yes. There's been a couple articles, I didn't read them, but they were sent to me by a couple friends, that, they say now you can order 24 hours a day and just charge it later, and the battery life is significantly longer. That's another benefit. The problem is you still got to charge it. So if I haven't worn mine all night, but I want to wear it all night just for a few times to see what my heart's doing at night. And I guess what I'm thinking is when I get up in the morning, I just throw it on the charger, and it doesn't take too long to charge. So I'm thinking in an hour or two, once I take my shower, shave, and everything else, it'll probably be charged up enough for the day. So yeah, it'll go 18. If you're not doing anything like going on a walk or a hike or something where you're leaving your phone at home and it's really eating your battery up by flinging it up to the GPS as you're going, then the battery lasts for 18 or 20 hours. I did want to show, I want to see if I can get this to work. If I can, I will. So they talk about this fall thing, and they got a real problem with this as far as I'm concerned. So here's my watch. Okay, I'll see if I can get this to work. Okay.
You have to be wearing it for some reason?
No, you don't. That's the whole point. So if I drop it at home when I do it, I've gotten this to work several times. I'll pick it up.
You have to drop with the watch.
Yeah, no, you don't. That's the whole point. I can't get it to work all the time. It's not going to work for me right now. But
would you fall and stable water.
Yeah, I'll follow this.
Isn't there a 15-second?
I mean, it definitely works if you fall. 'Cause my wife hit me the other day and I fell right down. No, she would never do that. But the whole point is that
Delay.
I have this thing on a, I'll show you this photo I have. This is my charger stand, and I bought this stand a couple years ago, and I have it in the bedroom. It's just, the charger on the back is just it's a round thing about this big, and a cord's attached to it, and you just plug it in the wall. And I actually have two of them. I have one of them that I keep in my travel case, so that when I go out of town, I don't have to worry about having a charger. I've got it there, and I just lay it on the ground and charge it. But the one at home, I bought a stand on Amazon. They've got 50,000 of them on there for cheap prices. And this is the one I bought 2 or 3 years ago, which really worked great when I had the sports band on, because the sports band, the whole band comes off like this, and I just put it on. Well, this new band that came with this watch, it doesn't come off. So it just goes like that, so I can't stick it on like that. I gotta stick it on like you see it there. Well, what happened to me is the first couple times, the first week I had the watch, when I was taking it off of that stand, I dropped it. And I dropped it behind that piece of furniture right there. And the damn thing starts telling me that they're gonna call 911. I was scrambling to get behind this big piece of furniture and pick it up and turn it off. And well, that's when I noticed that in my house a few times, not every time, because I just did it twice, if I just had it about this high and dropped it, it wouldn't go off, but as soon as I would pick it up, it would say, "Are you all right? We noticed you've fallen," and I just hit the button, "Yeah, I'm okay." And in one of the videos I have, it says that they warn you if you're doing certain exercises that it might send a signal that you've fallen. I don't know how it does that, because a lot of these videos, they'll have, like, this guy fell through it 2 or 3 times and he couldn't get it to go off. I got it to go off a half a dozen times in the last week or two, and I even sent in a message to Apple on their feedback and just saying this is a real problem, because that thing really should not go off unless it's, to me, at least it shouldn't go off unless it's on your wrist. And it was going off, like I said, I just dropped it off the stand. It wasn't even unlocked. And bang, it went off. So just be aware of that. I was going to turn it off, and I did turn it off for a few days, and I turned it back on. I think I'll probably end up turning it off for a while, because I really think that that's a software issue.
Mitch, is there a charge for 911 if there's nothing wrong with you?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it depends on where you live.
How does it work? Would 911 call you? Is that?
I think they call in. No, they don't call you. You're laying down. You're passed out. I think they call.
They call.
They call in the emergency. They submit the emergency people. Yes.
What I've read
Yes.
is that there's a 15-second delay.
There is a
If
delay.
you don't move, if they don't move motion, it will make the call to 911 and give your location. My question is what's the GPS in there? Is this triangulation off of the cell towers, or is it a real GPS?
I don't know the answer to that.
I think it's a real GPS.
Real GPS?
I think it's a real GPS, but I'm not sure. So anyhow, that's my.
Because
I wanted to show you
model
that.
about cellular, so that it has to be.
I wanted to show you that stand and go over that particular problem. Then there's a couple other photos here. This watch face is the one that was my favorite. And it's got a lot of complications. Now, a lot of people don't know what complications are. Complications are all these things like the time, the temperature, the day, the exercise and so on, activity. This is stock price, and this is the battery, okay? So those are what they call complications, and when you have the watch face up, you can edit those and you can put different things wherever you want them. This was my favorite, and the one I use that I like now is this one. And the thing I really like about this one is this right here, which is text messages.
We got one waiting?
Got one waiting right now. Yeah, I'm on that picture. I like that quite a bit. And you can just tap on it and you can see what the message is. And you can respond and so on. And then, you can change different things. Like I've got heart information here. This, when I did this, showed my current heart rate. It showed my average for that particular time of day. It happened to be 12 o'clock. It showed the range. I obviously hadn't been, whoops.
What's the bottom middle of the line?
Okay, the bottom middle is a complication that indicates there are 3 levels of activity. The inside one, the blue one, is the stand-up. And they measure, and they want you to stand up 12 times a day, once an hour, okay?
Wakes me up from my nap.
Okay, so the
Actually tells you to get up.
And it tells you to get up.
yeah, it tells you, it'll tell you to get up. It'll say, hey, it's time to stand up. And you can't just stand up. You have to stand up and maybe walk to that door and back. Okay? And it'll give you, if you have it on silence, it'll give you a haptic touch on your wrist. And that haptic touch I really like. And believe it or not, what I like the best about it is when I'm using it with, in conjunction with directions on my iPhone, and I'm using Apple Maps, and it's telling me where to go. I mean, if first of all, I'm driving, I'm not looking, I don't want to be looking at the screen. I've got CarPlays. I don't want to be looking at that screen all the time. I'm looking at the road. But it'll come on and it'll say you need to turn in 600 feet. You get about 300 feet away and you get a haptic touch. It indicates with an arrow as to whether you got to turn right or left. And I really like that quite a bit. Not that I use it that often, but when I do use it, it's nice.
Mitch, that's
anyhow,
that little complication there, 64 BPM and so on. Which complication do you use?
This one?
I would like to do that. I just see my phone at heart, and I push on it, I get all that information.
I'll see if I can tell you that in just a minute. Let me finish this one. So the blue one is the stand-up. You stand up 12 times a day, and that circle completes. The yellow one is exercise, and it's always set at 30 minutes. You can't change that. And so you go on and you select like he said, it'll automatically pick up if you are doing a run or a power walk or something. It'll eventually pick that up and ask, do you want to record this? But I'm pretty religious about when I go to the gym or when I go biking, I turn on my stuff and I'm recording it. But the point is that to complete that circle, you have to do 30 minutes a day. You can do more. The outer circle is your exercise or activity, not total calories in a day, but your activity calories in a day. It's automatically set to 500. You can increase it or decrease it. I think mine right now is at 600. I always go past that because I'm an exercise nut. So that's what these 3 are. This is the outside temperature. We went over the text messaging. The hard stuff, I'll get to that. Eckert, you might have to stop up and see me after the meeting if I can't find that real quick. But it's one of the things that you can choose on this particular screen. the time, the day.
Why don't you show them the summary exercise screen?
Yeah,
You have that?
I've got some of that stuff, yeah.
What does the red dot at the top indicate?
It indicates that I have a notification. The notification is probably, certainly it's this text message, but it could be, I have news put on there. I have some stock notifications I get, so it indicates I have notifications, and all I would do on the watch would be swipe down, and it would tell me what those notifications are. Yes?
Is there a setting for when you're on a long road trip? I mean, I don't want to stop and do something while driving from Michigan.
What do you mean, a setting?
Well, can I turn off the blue or whatever it is?
So it doesn't tell you to stand up.
No, there is, as far as I know, I haven't looked at how to turn that off at all. As far as I know, it's on all the time. But all it's going to do is, it's just going to give you a notification, it's time to stand up, and it goes away. If you don't stand up in 5 or 10 minutes, it just figures, you know.
You can turn it off.
Yeah. Yes, Marilyn.
I didn't know if I just missed what you were saying, but we were talking about the maps. Every time you're getting ready to make a turn, you get a little jog on your watch.
Yeah, haptic.
Right, that's what haptic is, if
Yes.
you didn't know what that was.
Oh, yeah, it's like a vibration, and it's
Right.
very mild.
Yeah, because then it makes you pay attention to the next
Exactly,
place.
the next place you gotta turn, and that's what I like about it.
Right.
And then as soon as you get on top of that street, and if you don't turn, it's going rapidly, I believe.
Well, I haven't missed any of my turns, so I don't know.
I also want to mention, Mitch, that No Boom Tutorials has a tutorial on Apple Watch 4.
But not, yeah, they got one on Apple Watch. Do they have one on Apple Watch 4
Yeah, we just
now?
finished it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you just finished it, okay. Okay, so let me go into some of these other things that George was mentioning. Now, one of the things that, and I have these in a folder right here, we're going to go into this folder, and this is my watch folder, and I've got a lot of watch things in here. So here are activities. This is a standard app that you get with when you get the watch. This is the actual watch. This is heart rate stuff, and these others are other things that are not necessarily required. These three actually come with this. So if you look at the watch, this one right here in the middle. When you first get a watch, you get it, you put it on the charger. It has to be, I think, on the charger, and you have to pair it to your phone. You have to have a phone to have a watch. You have to have an Apple phone to have an Apple Watch. Okay, and so whether it's cellular or not, you have to have it. So if I go in here, okay, it says pair new watch. Well, mine's already paired, so I don't want to screw around with that. But when you get a new watch, you hit pair new watch, and your watch is on the charger, and this funny looking cloud comes up, and it'll say right on your phone, hold this up, and the camera on the back goes on, and it lines up, and it'll say pairing. And that's it. It's that simple. Did you find it was that simple? John?
Oh, yes.
Did you find it was that simple?
I was
Yeah.
breathing.
Yeah.
It does breathing exercise for you.
Do you have to repair when you change time zones?
No,
It will automatically do
it automatically
repairing.
changes, yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. Yes.
Talking about when you switch phones, does it save your information off your old phone?
Yes, it does save the information. You got to back up. You want to back up and restore. You know, when you get a new phone, if you're backing up every night in the cloud, you're already backed up, and you just restore to your last backup, and all your stuff comes over. if you get a new watch, when you unpair your old watch, it automatically backs up that data. And when you pair your new watch, it puts it on there. Okay? Yes?
Well, and another neat thing is the phone, I think you can have multiple watches and get to them through your phone.
Yes.
Each watch separately.
Yes.
But that's automatic. Whichever one you have on your wrist is the one that will select.
Yes. I don't have two, but
Usually.
I think that's the way it's going to work. Now, let me, so that's how you pair it, that first thing. These are watch face, this thing keeps on jumping me off of here, George, but that's okay. Okay, these are the different watch faces. They're the ones that I have on here. I put a bunch, I don't use all these, I put a bunch of them on there just so you can see different ones, and this is only, there are 50 of them out there.
There's 50 different watch faces?
No, there's probably at least that many, 40 or 30, maybe 30, but you can, thing of it is every one of these you can change the colors, you can do a lot of different things. One of the interesting things is if you have the Mickey Mouse watch face, he goes up and down. His hands go up and down for the second count. If there's 5,000 people out there that have that face on, it's all doing it at the same time. Anyhow, you can have somebody's picture, like if I wanted to have my wife on the watch right here, the dog, or what have you. One of the more popular ones that they talk about in these videos is this one, which is pretty neat, but it doesn't show anything. I want the information. And again, the couple that I really like are these two right here. They're both modular ones. This new one that they talk a lot about is right here, this infograph, and there's a significant problem with that in my estimation. And that is, it shows a lot more information. All these things around here, like there's about 8 or 9 different complications that you can get. Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. There's one right here, there's one there, there. I mean, they're all over. The problem is that I thought, oh, this is going to be great. So I went in to change one of those to text messaging. It's not available. And neither is the phone. It's not available as a complication. So not all the complications or options are available. So in other words, this text thing I couldn't get over here. Just wasn't available. And to me, I was reading on a board, and I actually commented, I said, and this guy was saying, oh, how great this was, and I said, yeah, it's really great until you decide you want to have text message complications, and you can't get it. And I got all kinds of responses about that, which were along the lines of, yeah, I thought it was really neat until I found that out also. And Apple really made a mistake by not making that available. Now, why they didn't make it available, I don't know. Whether they'll get enough complaints that they'll put it on there as an option in the future, I have no idea. But the one I use right now is this one right here.
Mitch?
Yes.
The Mickey Mouse one doesn't show any complications, but it does speak the time out loud when you tap it twice.
Yes, it does.
I think that's the only face that will speak the time.
I think that one and the mini, probably the mini.
But for low vision people, that's helpful.
That's helpful. Good
Speaking
point.
of low vision, how easy is it to read text on that, number one? And how do you input text? Do you have to dictate?
I always dictate, so that's the only way I've done it, I think. And it is smaller type, but you can read it.
Yeah.
You see it there?
How do you dictate text?
When you're doing, I can't show it to you on here because I can't mirror my watch, but when you hit it, there's a microphone. Yeah, and you just start talking. Another thing that's pretty nice is, and again, I don't know that I have it on here. You can take a screenshot. So, okay, this is a screenshot of the control center. And the way you get to the control center is you swipe up on the watch. And this is the first 6 things in the control center. The first one is this is your indicates I'm connected to Bluetooth. This is a Wi-Fi. This is a battery. This one's really neat. This will ping your phone, and I use it all the time. This one is the Do Not Disturb, and this one is if you're in the movie theater and you don't want the watch to come on every time you move your hand in the show, you just turn this on, okay? And I think that automatically goes off after a couple hours or so if you forget to take it off. Then I want to go over, let me just see if I can
That one's red.
take another one here. I'll get to that in a second. The ones below, you can get a picture of those real quick. Okay, and I want to get a picture of this one real quick.
You wish this on your phone?
Get this real quick.
The other thing, if you wear it on your, like I wear mine on my right arm, and you can adjust the watch so that it works.
Yes, you can adjust it if you want to wear it on your right arm.
I wear it on my right.
That's all. Okay, so here is the lower part of the screen on the control center. So there's a flashlight, there's a silent button. I always have mine on silent. I always have it on silent. But if you always have it on silent and you get a phone call, you get a haptic thing, and you look down and you answer the call, and it, you know, you're talking. I mean, it's not silencing you or the other party. This just silences things like
Ringer.
the ringer and so on. This little thing here is a drop of water. If you go swimming or something, you're supposed to hit that, and it'll push the water out of the speaker area of the watch when you're done. I never swim with mine or take a shower with mine, so I don't worry about it. This is airplane mode. This
Airdrop. Airdrop?
airdrop, yeah. So now I want to get back to here. This is the Do Not Disturb. This is really neat, and this is available, I think, only, I don't know if this is available on the older watches, but it's really nice on the new watch. If you hit that, here's what you get. Do Not Disturb, turn it on for an hour until I leave this location. And that's really nice. So you can just, until I leave this location, then it's not going to give me notifications or anything until I leave the library. So I think that's a really nice feature.
Mitch,
Yes.
what time is evening?
Where was that?
Until this evening.
Oh, let me look at that again. That might be wrong, just in terms of what that says.
No, that's what it is. I'm just going.
Oh, there's more below that. Until this evening, I don't know what time evening is, that's a good point. Until I leave this location, it's below that, and it didn't show on the photo because it's below. On until the end of the event on the calendar, and I have this on the calendar from 11:30 till 1, so I could hit that one as well. So there are a couple more below this that are not there. Yes?
The airplane mode, if you hit it on your watch and turn it off on your phone, But if you turn it off on your watch, go the other direction, it won't change your phone.
No, that's right.
At least on my old watch.
Yes.
That may have answered my question. If you hit do not disturb on your watch, does it set it on the phone too?
When you turn it off, or turn on the do not disturb, yes, but airplane mode, but it won't go the other way. Oh, do not disturb.
Do not disturb.
Oh.
If you turn it on here, it does turn it on there. Turn it off here, turns it off on the watch.
Did you take a picture of your watch just a minute ago?
Yes.
How did you do that?
Take a picture of the watch face, you hit the crown button and the button below at the same time.
And that takes a photo?
And that'll take a photo, a screenshot. And that, and you'll know it's happening because like on the phone, it'll flash at you. I mean, it'll blink at you. Okay? Good point. Yes?
Does it monitor your sleep if you were during the night, like whether you get REM sleep or not?
No, it won't monitor your REM sleep, but it'll monitor your heart rate. And let me show you some of that stuff.
But that'll be coming.
Now, I'm sure that'll be coming, yeah. So if I look at heart watch, let's go into there. So this is so far for the day. I haven't done much. If I look at, these are other days, so if I look at yesterday, where I rode a bike for a while, you'll see my maximum, minimum, 42. I actually get down to there momentarily every morning, it seems like. And then the average is high just is because I was biking for an hour and a half or so.
Does it monitor sexual activity?
That's on a separate screen that I can show you.
It just keeps flashing.
Unless you have a complication, George.
And since you've had watches in the past and you asked that question, I'm wondering about you. Okay, so I see where this knocked me off again. Let's get back on here. Oh, it doesn't want to get back on at all now. There we go. Okay, so let me get back in there. So we look at this day. And again, I had that low of 41. Day before, low of 53. So there are all kinds of days here that I have. Now, you go to this dashboard. Some of these I don't look at these very often. There's a dashboard one. Activity. Now, let me go back to. So I want to get out of here, but it does show all kinds of statistics about your heart rate and your activity. And then on this activity area here, it shows, they give you awards for different activity. So here's awards, and these are recent awards that I received. Here was a day where my move goal was over 200%. Here was over 300%. Here, perfect exercise week. Here, perfect weeks of standing. I can stand up still. Perfect week of all activities. Then if you go down, it'll show you, it gives you competition, I can, if I know somebody else has a watch, I can challenge them and do stuff like that. I don't
How
do
many
that.
points you need to get a new watch?
I don't know, but I've got so many points, I think it must be pretty high, because they haven't given me a watch yet. Like now, and they'll give you a challenge for each month, and this is something new, and I don't know if I care for it, but the challenge this month for me is to do 3,390 exercise minutes, and I've got 1,400 in, and I'm past the middle of the month, so I'm probably not going to make that that one. And here are some limited edition things that awards that I got, and then here are awards they give you. And what they do is they give you different awards for completing a perfect month. So there's all kinds of things, and they are sort of nice because I do look at them periodically, particularly when I first got the watch. It was like, okay, did I get my award, you know? I noticed that when I first got my watch, I was really into this, doing a perfect month, which is closing all the rings every day for a month. And you'll see I did that, you know, June, August, September, October, November, December, and then all of a sudden there was a huge gap, and a couple months ago I thought, oh, I got to start doing perfect months again, and so I did a perfect month in August and I did a perfect month in September. It also gives you different workouts, and it'll give you the maximum amount that you've done for those workouts. Like cycling, 1,800 calories was the maximum I had. So there's a lot of different things here, and this is interesting. This is it's just not liking me, George. I don't know what it is. Okay, so this is the history down here. We were just on the awards. This is the history. And again, 3 rings completed is a completed day. So you can see, when I mentioned I had a completed month in September, you can see all of them. And in August, if you go back to July, there was a couple of days that I didn't do anything. I mean, I did the standing, but I just didn't, you can see I just didn't do the exercise. So it really does, for me, it made me get more active and more consistent about what I was doing.
How far back does it go?
It goes back a long, long way.
Does that take away your memory for something else? I need to watch.
No, it takes up very little memory. It goes back, I think, to the beginning, we're in August of 15 right here.
How waterproof is the watch?
They say it's waterproof to 6 or 7 feet of water now.
But they recommend you do something after you take a shower?
No, not after you take a shower, but if you go in the pool with it and get it underwater, you go to that, go into the control center and you hit that drop of water, you just hit that and it pushes water out of the speaker area is what it does.
It vibrates the water.
Yeah, it vibrates the watch when you do it too. Okay. If you go to workouts, this is sort of new. They'll show different workouts that you had for different days, calories. So there's a lot of things that this thing shows in terms of exercise. It's probably the most exciting Apple product that I've had in a long, long time, the new watch. It's that much better than the older ones. Yes?
What's the heart study? Did that translate?
The heart study is something you sign up for with Stanford University. It's voluntary. I signed up for it, and it gives them permission to gather statistics on your heart rate They sent me a thing after a year and said, you know, you had no significant thing. But I read some articles where people were in that study, and all of a sudden they got a call from Stanford University asking them questions because their heart rate was, and they went to the they went to the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, you got a problem. So
My cousin's stuff that he has implanted caused the doctor, he has something strange going on. I was wondering if that was...
yeah, it's a study, and Stanford will actually contact you if you have significant, if it's, you know, spikes more than a few times. Yes.
With the EKG that, you know, on the older watches, does it send it to your doctor? How do you set that up? And
I don't know how you set it up to your doctor because it's not doing the EKG yet.
well, the old, with the thing, with the band that costs $99.
I don't know how that worked because I never had the band.
Okay. I know it sends a PDF. I just hope they're not getting like tons of...
And we are out of time. And so we have to go.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.